What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode Finish Line, a trail running podcast that dives deep into the story beyond the trails and distance. I am your host, Joe Harden, a passionate trail runner and ultra distance enthusiast myself. Today we have Megan Eckert. Most recently, Megan, even since we set up this podcast, ran, which is it's incredible. She also set the women's backyard, which is a test with an astonishing 360 how many yards that is. Megan can clear that up. Also this year, Megan crushed it at 6 days in the Dome, 523 miles, winning overall. That's awesome. But before Megan to the chat, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. If you'll bear with me, friends of the pod, your support means the world. One at the EAPN. Please like, share wherever you get your podcast. Outside of my show, we have 8 other shows. Actually, I think we have 9 now. That's how we're growing. Fireside chats and Gandhi, Running Tales. That's my man Craig Lewis across the pond. We have Enduring Mind, Evan up north in Canada. What's in your earbuds? That's with me and Owen. We just talk music, a little bit of running sometimes. Caffeinated Coaching with Lori. We have Food Fight Friday with our friend Adam Lee and Jason. Bahu Mandi. Your engagement helps us build this community. Like I said, we have a lot of great, something for everybody in this network. When, like I said, we're adding shows to this network and of it, and we can't do this without you. Also, if you have any questions for Megan during the podcast, feel free to type in and we will get those at the pod. So without further ado, hello, Megan. How's it going? Hopefully I got all the numbers right. That's amazing. I try to wrap my mind around some of those miles you're stacking up, and it's just so yeah.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, here, like I said, I was like really fired up that you agreed to be on. I was like, oh, this is so cool. You crushed it. Big something that I'd like to really talk about. But I got some stuff to talk about you first. Like, so right out of the gate, I know it's a big question, but I kind of like to ask everybody, like, who is Megan Eckert?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm a runner, but beyond that, I'm actually my day job. I'm a school teacher. I teach middle school. I'm a coach. I coach cross country and track. I beyond racing, I'm an adventurer. I like to travel. I like to when I travel, I like to find coffee shops and bookstores. I have a goal this year of reading as many books as possible, but at least 52. I think I'll hit that pretty easily.
Nice.
But so I'm a bookworm, and that's a little about me.
Cool. That's I've been trying to set a goal to read more books outside of like I takes all the fun out of like just reading for fun. But 52 books, that's awesome. I think a lot of ultra runners are, right? It's like,
yes.
Is that just like our excuse to like go get coffee? Like, hey,
well, we're up early. So
yeah, we're up early anyways.
We're up early. A lot of us, we go on our runs. We meet at the coffee shop afterwards. Isn't that a thing?
So sorry.
He's had like 4 in a row.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Okay. Give us just a second.
He's had like 4 in a row and he's like not really coming back.
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm sorry about this.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll jump in here, Joe.
Maybe just give me a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh, there we
Okay,
go.
sorry about
Joe's
that.
Coming back.
Yeah, maybe just hang on just a second. Sorry about that. sorry about that. We have
Yeah.
a special needs dog.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we have a foster, or not a foster. We rescued a dog, and he's can sometimes be yeah, kind of hands on. But so yeah,
They give the best love.
yeah, they do. He's such a
I have
good dog.
I have a rescue pup too, and they are just, yeah, they're the best.
So yeah, and I guess I want to start the next question, a hard hitting question, and an icebreaker question is, what's your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur? Okay,
Yeah.
I've never been asked that before. Um, that is a first. I'm gonna go with the Triceratops.
Okay, cool. That's actually my favorite too. It's like Velociraptor, Triceratops. Like I don't know which way to go there, but um,
The very hard
so
crown
cool.
and horns are pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like they can be friendly, but also it's like kind of if you poke them. Yeah, but obviously I have a lot of backyard because it's super impressive. And just if you could you take us through that experience?
Oh, that was just unbelievable, that experience, honestly. Being there was just an honor to show up on the start line. I've said before, I think that whole first morning, but especially the first yard, I think I floated through. It was just this really elated feeling of being at Biggs, being with these 14 other really talented athletes. So the first morning, so high energy and just so excited to be there. Um, so I don't think it really hit me. So I got a silver ticket into Biggs. And when I got my silver ticket, I was really focused even on day one of getting a little bit of sleep here so I could make it through the first night. And I had like this strategic plan. And going into Biggs, the energy, the stoke was just too high. There was no sleeping the whole first day, even though I knew I needed it because I was just too excited to be there. And then we started easing into this is what we're going to be doing for a while. And there were 15 of us up until hour 33 or 34. So we all would line up, go on the next yard together. And through that first night, we really stuck together quite a bit, but it was quiet. If I remember right, oddly, even though you could see everyone, even though there was 15, it was a very quiet first night. I think we were all focused on like what was to come. The daylight, the more yards, the starting again, kind of. And as we progressed into day 2 and day 3, things kind of get a little muddled then, right? For me, all those hours kind of become one. I really you go into like this zone where it's just like every hour you get up, you get back in the corral, you go back out there, and you just keep doing it because it becomes what you do. And I remember some yards planning to change my shoes because we were switching from day to night loop or vice versa, or being more focused on getting hydrated because it was hot, or getting ice on because it was hot. But honestly, it all becomes one at some point. You get this tunnel vision.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't gone obviously back there, but I kind of I in the first few yards, it's almost like I became like I have like a little gym buddy. I set like a timer. It's like 5 minutes, run 5 minutes, walk 2 minutes. And it's even like after a few, it's like Pavlov's dog. It was like, as soon as that little beeper off, time was walk time. But I couldn't imagine, or how many yards was that? 306 or
Um,
yeah, 300. How many
I
yards
did
is that?
87 yards.
87. Okay.
87 yards, yeah.
That's incredible. So yeah, I couldn't imagine going that far with it. So I mean, obviously, kind of the hard way is like how like you have to be really organized, and I'm assuming going that far it has to be critical. So like, how do you prepare for when it's going to end?
So you don't focus on the ending. That's for sure. I know for me, I wasn't focused on when it was going to end. I just assumed it was going to just keep going until I couldn't go anymore. And I had told my crew like prior to even the day of the race, I said, you know, the only way I'm going to get out is if I can't make the yard in time or I'm actually hurt. That's the only way I'm not going back out. I'm not going finishing a yard. So going into it, like my mindset was already, I'm going as far as I physically can. And then it can become very overwhelming. You don't know when it's going to end. So for me, I like to focus on just getting on to the next yard because it's 4.17 miles, right? If I can do that one more time, multiple times, that'll eventually add up. So instead of focusing on the end goal, because you don't know what that's going to be, it's just focusing on that 1 yard. And it's odd because in the backyard, you're not really competing against anybody else. Like people like to kind of talk about playing mind games or whatnot at the end. But as long as you can focus on that 4.1 and just keep doing your thing, you got a very good chance of going as far as you want to go or winning the thing, depending on how it turns out.
So I mean, at what point did you realize like you set the women's world record at a backyard? Was that something that you actually realized while you were in it, or it dawned on you that you had set such like an impressive record?
So at Biggs, Jennifer Russo was also there, who previously held the women's world record. And we had talked in the days prior of going after it together. So she and I obviously both knew what that was and what the goal was. And so we were hoping to actually get to that together. So I did know when I hit that yard.
What I love about backyards is like everybody is just kind of like teaming up together to get, it's like a big goal. Like I think that's why I love some backyards and like time stuff. You know, like I love trail running or whatever, but it can be pretty good for a long time. And I just kind of love like like to me, like a backyard feels like kind of like a run club. It's just know when it's actually going to end. But so I think that's what I love so much about them. Is that why you think you love like the time, like you do so much time stuff, is maybe because of like that kind of like community feeling that you get at those things?
It's definitely the community feeling. I know my first backyard, I was so excited because you would line up in the corral and maybe got to run with the front runner for a yard. And then you're in the back of the pack for the next yard, in the middle of the pack. Well, in like 100-mile race, you can, like you were talking about, you could be spread out over the whole race and only see a handful of people in the aid station workers. But on these loop courses or backyard events, you're able to see people multiple times. And you do build connections with people and hear their stories and why they're out there. And the friendships that I've made at the loop races, and nothing against the 100 miles and whatnot, 50 miles, whatever. I've made great friendships there too. But it's just you don't spend as much time and get to know the people on the deep level that you do on these loop courses. And honestly, you really become
Yeah, I
invested.
absolutely agree. Yeah, 100% agree with you. Like I bet I people that I've done, like even my first backyard I did, I still run morning runs with people from the very first. I did like some 24-hour stuff, like 8-hour stuff, and I'd really like to get into 6 days of the day, kind I'm really, really stoked to try that. It's not very far away, so that'd be kind of cool to check that out. It sounds like,
Yeah.
I mean, so 6 days. I mean, how do you dig into something like that? I guess thinking about doing 48 hours sounds pretty like terrifying in a way, but so 6 days, like when you're looking like like obviously you just have to like little bits that on, I guess.
A lot of it is chunking it up into parts. So you're looking at 6 day, but then you're breaking it down into smaller segments. And like when you're talking about the 48-hour, that's a pretty challenging race. I mean, that can be a really tough race because a good 48-hour, you will get little to no sleep at a 48-hour. Well, in a 6 day, you're looking at, okay, this is my block. This is where I'm going to eat. This is where I'm going to sleep. And you have to have sleep in that time frame in order to continue going for the full 6 days. So though it's a different challenge, I would venture to say that 48-hour might be a little tougher. I haven't tried one myself, but hope to at some point.
So are you like, obviously you're like sleeping, like how did you did you have like a for like obviously you had to have nutrition nailed down and like all that stuff, but did you go by like feel, or did you have like a structured sleep plan and like a rest plan going?
So I started with a structured well, this was my first attempt at a 6 day. I structured my sleep initially and had a goal of making it, I think the first night to like 3 a.m. before I slept. So I fought sleep kind of around the midnight hours. And realized that I just wasn't making, like I was fighting sleep, so I wasn't moving as well as I could. I have 144 hours out there. If I'm tired, I should probably go lay down for an hour and not try to force like that extra 3 to get to 3 a.m. because I'm not gaining or losing anything. So what I did learn is I learned to take the sleep when I was actually tired. And get back up. So I would have 2 sleep blocks in a 24-hour period. One usually early evening, and then the other one early morning. And that seemed to work very well for me. And that's usually when I got tired anyways. But I learned not to push through to the point where I was tired and kind of doing slower, useless laps. Not useless. They still count, but not moving as well as I could.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I'm assuming, like you said, podcast was like you kind of had to get over like that 2 day hump in that race, and then after that, things kind of smoothed out for you for
Yeah,
6 days.
I had a really odd, well, I had the learning curve with the sleep. And then I had a really odd, which I thought was going to be an overuse injury. I had an issue with my abductor. And I'm still not sure what it is. It's still kind of happening here and there, but I'll get on a track. And it seems to be, I mean, it even happened at Desert Solstice in December where I'll run a little bit. And then it's almost like a nerve thing where the leg just kind of goes numb and I hobble around for a little bit and it'll give out and then it'll come back. I think it lasted about 8 hours at 6 days at the Dome and I kept running on it. And then it went away and never came back the rest of the time. Not that I'm promoting running through injury, but there wasn't pain with it. It was just this odd, like, I don't know, lost feeling for a second and then it came back.
That's good. Yeah, I had this on my hip has been kind of sore, but I did like a pretty gnarly 100K, which Indiana at 100K with feet of vert is like a different planet for us. I'm a flatlander, so that was pretty realm. But So yeah, luckily the same thing. Mine kind of went away too. After I gave a little bit of rest and recovery, and then it finally got better, kind of.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't bigs and 6 days of the dome and snowdrop. Um, so tell us events, like where did you begin?
So my running journey started actually with being afraid to do a 5K. Um, it was 2008. Yeah, well, I will say now I don't like if there's a 10K or 5K option, I'm signing up for the 10K. Not doing the 5K. They're fast and they hurt a lot. So props to all the good 5K runners out there. That's not me.
Yeah.
But I didn't even show up at the line for that 5K. I trained for it on a treadmill and I was too afraid to run it. And it wasn't until, so that was like 2008, I believe. And it wasn't until 2016 that I trained for another race. It was a half marathon and ran that. And it was on road. But I loved it so much. It was cold and miserable and just that type 2 fun. It's raining, it's windy, it's wet, it's cold, it's in San Antonio. And I remember the course wine and I wanted to keep going and run the marathon instead of the half that day. And so I was instantly hooked on that. And then ventured into trails, had a run group in San Antonio, Texas that kind of took me under their wing. Invited me on long runs on Saturday and Sunday at the Hill Country State Nature area and told me stories about running in 1999 and some of these old school trail races and how they had their water bottles that they would hold the whole time and just how it's all evolved. And I quickly got hooked on trail running and started going to races with them around Texas. They would set up canopies and have a whole community there. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's what drew me first to trail running was the community. My first experience at a race was volunteering at an aid station. I did a double shift out at Crazy Desert in San Angelo. And these runners were coming in knowing that the course was long and they still had smiles on their faces and be coming in, hey, the course is going to be 6 miles long. It's supposed to be 100K. I think it's going to be like 68. And they're like, okay, let's go, you know? Yeah, it was the, my first experience with trail running was definitely the community and the people who kind of took me under their wing and showed me the ropes and were willing to invite me to these races and places.
I kind of started running trails like with a mine, and then I found the community later. And like such a big deal. Like it's like I'm sure you agree with that. It's like it's not even really about the miles anymore. It's about the camaraderie and like this amazing community. I mean, it kind of feels like I've been a part of it my whole life. You know, they've taken me in arms, and I'm sure you agree with that. So it's so cool that like you kind of got. I mean, I did too. I'm still pretty new to trail running myself. I'm still a new runner, but that's so cool that that kind of what nudged you to trail running. But like on this like journey, did you realize like, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this? Like, when did kind of like yours?
I really don't know. I know that like my running has always been driven by passion. So I've always had fun out there. And that has been, I think, a lot of my success is when I'm doing these things, I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm truly enjoying the trail. My husband was always the one who's like, you're kind of good. You're kind of good at this. He was always the one saying, I think you could do really well. And I'm like, I don't care. I just want to sign up for this race because it goes over this mountain pass. And or the most recent one, I signed up for AC 100 because I wanted to see LA at night. That was my whole goal. I wanted to be on Mount Wilson looking down at LA at night, which was just an amazing view. So I signed up for these because of one thing or another that I want to experience. And sometimes it's personal, sometimes it's a view, sometimes it's the community. So I think that's kind of what drives me. And then the side effect is I just happen to be good at it, and that's not. I mean, I put in the work too, but I enjoy putting in the work also. So it's all it's a full circle thing.
Love that. And that's like probably the coolest answer I've heard in a while. See this cool thing. I love that so much. I 600 mile. I signed up purely because I saw pictures of miles here. So that speaks to me in a way. And I think that's just so cool that you just pick right. You're doing what you love. And obviously, that's translating to, the unintended consequence of all that. So rad that that's how that happened for you. That's so cool. So you love the training. So like what kind? I mean, do you do like a structured training? Or do you just hard? Like you said, you just love training for it. So how do you visual? How do you actually train for all this stuff?
So I don't follow any structured training plan. I know we talked kind of before, Joe, that I do run commute to and from work to kind of get miles in the week. And that can be as short as a 6 mile day, or that can be as long as a 20, 25 mile day, just depending on how the body feels. But I don't ever go out and say, this is how many miles I'm going to get on this day. I just start and see how the body responds. There's some days I feel a lot better than others, or even weather conditions maybe a factor. Today is extremely cold here. It's windy. It's cloudy. It's just not the best conditions. Even though I do love the cold, I just wasn't feeling it this morning. So, most of the time I'm run commuting. Sometimes the body is telling me something different. So I will listen to that. As for like these trail runs and these mountain runs, takes absolutely no motivation for me to train for those. I will plot a route through the mountains around here because our trails, you can start in Santa Fe, and I'm going to do this one of these days. You can start in Santa Fe and you can plot a route that goes through the high country and ends up in Taos, New Mexico, which is just north of here. And it's through the woods, through you can hit like our highest peaks through it and everything. But you could go for days. You could get lost back there. There's so many trails that I've yet to explore. So it doesn't take very much motivation to get me out in the trails for like a 20-mile day or just to go explore. And when I'm out there, I'm never worried about pace. Like I'm not like, okay, I gotta do this in 4 hours, or okay, today, I did 20 miles in 6 or 20 miles in 7 or 8, but I stopped to take like a million pictures on my run, or, did it with friends, or I'm a really laid back, unstructured trail runner.
I love that so much. So that was like always a joke when I did have a run. Sorry, my pace was so bad because as we talked before, I run commute too. I like with everybody. I slacked off on the run, some like speed work and like real structured running plan, which isn't really last a few months. So I started cycle commuting, and then in Indiana, and I've been driving. But talk about it got me like really fired up to run commute again. So as soon as this weather break, run commuting again. Because honestly, the best I ever did at a backyard was when I was run commuting, and that didn't dawn on me until a couple of months ago. I think a run commute might be the same distance. It's like just 3 miles to get to work. I think I've heard you say that that's about roughly. So I want to get back to to run commuting, but also like when I would trail run, same thing. It's like my pace would just be like, whatever, or whatever. So I was like, I never pay attention to pace anymore, like shot or. So I love that so much.
It doesn't matter. I mean, and there's always those days where you get out there and you're like, okay, today I'm feeling good, and today I want to move quick through the mountains, and like I take advantage of those days. But I'm with you. It's like, why rush it? You're out here, you're seeing things, you're able to capture cool moments. And there's been times I've been out there and been hiking uphill and looked over to the right or something and seen like a moose or some bighorn sheep, or depending on where I'm at in the country,
Cool.
right? We don't have moose in New Mexico, but Colorado. And if I had been running, I might have completely missed that moment, Not that so I'm never sad if I'm up a hill and I see something amazing, or hiking down the hill even and see something that was worth the moment.
Same here. Yeah, it's neat. I get to see some wildlife or some deer in the trail, like a coyote or taking off. Like, so I always enjoy that kind of stuff. So that's cool. It's like, so wow. So there should be a correlation here, because Harvey Lewis run commutes. What Courtney DeWalter's a teacher. She doesn't run commute, I don't think. So it's like it's like not lost on me that run commuting and backyard seem to go together. It looks like. So I wonder if it's really short, like leading up to something like backyard, like base for like those starts and stops. Kind of, yeah, that's kind of cool. I've been having those like broke up like 2 a day, like maybe 3 a day runs or something. Probably like perfect building up for something like a looped event or a backyard.
I think so. I think also the mental toughness that kind of comes with a day that maybe you don't want to run commute and you get up and do it anyways. Because there's times in a backyard where you don't want to go out on that yard. And I think that also plays a role. Because a backyard is a nice balance of physical condition and mental strength.
Yeah. And organizing too. I need to get better setups at backyards, like like those like shoe organizers that you see on the back of closets. Like I'll see people with those with like their nutrition packed, and mine looks like, I mean, basically I just had boxes like tore open and like clothes everywhere, and like, so that's something I'm gonna work on this year. Maybe organize my my backyard setup a little bit better. And you have your husband crew you too. I guess shout out to him. So there for a lot of this stuff. So that's really cool that you.
Yeah. He crews. It's funny because he crews the multi-day races, the timed events, and the backyards. He is not a fan of crewing trail races because of all the driving and the waiting and it's so funny because I like to I kind of like to go uncrewed at trail races. I like to come in, get what I need, and get back out on the trail. I like the quietness of being out there, kind of alone also. And so he attempted to crew Run Rabbit Run, and we just weren't jiving very well at that race. Like I would come in, I really need anything. I just wanted to come in, eat a few things, and go back out. And he was, being the caring crew member. What do you need? What can I get you? And I'm like, I just need a minute to sit here and get something to drink and eat, and then I'll be on my way. So on the way back from the race, we're going, well, what was going on? Because we didn't have that at 6 days. Like, we communicated really well. We were jiving well and so on. And he goes, well, I got to be honest, I don't like to crew trail races. And I said, really? Why haven't you told me this before? And he goes, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I said, well, to be honest, I don't really want you to crew a trail race. And he's like, great, then I won't. And so it was just kind of funny. It was something we hadn't discussed in about a year. And he had been coming out trying to support me, and I had been trying to put on the face. And so we came to the conclusion that at trail races, he's just going to go to the aid stations he can go to, say hi, and not crew, just be that, supporting outside individual. But at the backyards and the timed events, we just have a blast. We both enjoy the crew runner dynamic. And it's just so different because you see your runner so often, you see your crew so often. And there's just so much more investment from both parties in the race itself. So we've really enjoyed those.
Yeah, I mean, like the time stuff that I've done, the people that weren't running were having their own parties and bonfires, and they're kind of having their own. It's almost like when you're out on the loop, you're dang, you kind of miss, you're kind of not on what's all happening back at the tents, or that's kind of cool that, yeah.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that. And it's kind of like you get a fear of missing out sort of thing, because you're out on your yard and you're enjoying your yard with your people. But at Biggs, they lit a campfire. And so the first night, when all 15 runners are still there, the way the wind was blowing, we could smell that campfire from about a half mile to the finish line. And we could hear their voices, and we could hear their laughter and their conversations and so on. And as much as we were enjoying our yards, we were really quiet, like I said on the first night. I'm not sure why. And coming into the finish and hearing that the whole crew party is literally having a party by the campfire, and we get 4 minutes of sleep, was it made you a little jealous not to be on the other side.
Oh, that is awesome. So what, what else do you have? What do you have your eyes on for this next year?
I haven't decided yet exactly how that's going to go. I am looking at doing another 6-day race. And I am signed up to do Utah 115, put on by Grand to Grand. Okay. It's the first year doing it, and I'm really excited to get out there. I had the opportunity to drive actually this past summer through that area, spent a night in St. George, and it's just a beautiful landscape. So I'm sure the race, same thing, right? Just an incredible, another one of those you sign up for the views. But I'm hoping.
I need to go out west. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's so many. Oh, there's so many out west. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Could start listing quite a few, but I need to go out east. So the only race I've done out east has been Biggs. Okay. The furthest east I've gone, other than Biggs, was Tyler State Park in Texas. So I would love to do some of the out east races. It's just different trails from my understanding, a little different climbing conditions.
Yeah, yourself in the Middle East. Left on Indiana trail running is because a lot of people come to Indiana and run trail. They're like, wow, I didn't know this even it was we have some of the gnarliest trails in Indiana. Rudy, Rocky, and we run loops, point race in Indiana, and the first one will be in April. It's on the Knobstone. I'm debating signing up for that. I love hiking the Knobstone, so I might have to run the Knobstone. But all of our stuff is 10-mile loops, 25-mile loops, like kind of a trail run with like a backyard kind of vibe, because you see a lot of people, and that's kind of how the Midwest, whether at Angle Ultra, because we're all running these big loops together. It's so cool. Like the last, I did the IT 100 close to podium, and he was doing party pace. I'm back with everybody else, and he would run past me and go, who's in front of me or whatever. So I'd be like, yeah, you got like one guy up, or someone up there a few minutes ahead of you. But so yeah, if you ever come to the Midwest, you think we have nothing at cornfields in this area till you get in some of these like single track, like real rooty, punchy trails, and they're just so beautiful. So highly recommend. And we have some really cool backyards here too. We have a pretty legit backyard, and we have a fire, which actually was one last year, who also runs from out the coast, and he ran. Had been working on getting some of those races, like tickets, like silver tickets, but so we've got some cool stuff coming up in this area. If you ever run something in this neck of the woods,
I
so you dome, or sorry, go ahead.
No, so no, I'm actually doing Sitz Jour de France in April. So
Okay.
I'll be going over
Cool.
to France to attempt that
Wow.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. On my bucket
It
list.
will be.
Yeah. I want to go to Chamonix so bad, not to run or whatever. I just want to go over there and like.
Yeah. Oh, it looks
so exciting.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be my first. I've raced in Mexico, but I haven't been to Europe, so that'll be my first experience to go to Europe in any means, but for a race too. So I'm really looking forward to doing that one. But your comment on the Midwest, I plan on doing at least 100 miles in every single state. So at some point, I will be hitting you up for suggestions for out there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. You'll never get me to stop talking about Indiana trail running. So I just like I want to travel some more, but God, I just love I'm here so much. That's why I haven't done like a lot of stuff all over the place yet. I'm gonna mess this year and maybe do some stuff like even further east in here, but there's just like so much cool stuff just happening like real low. I fell in love with the trails here, so I may not have to travel. I plan on traveling. Like I haven't always been like a real outdoorsy person until I started trail running. Trail running made me an outdoor, like this, like really kind of like a wanderlust that I can't quite quench. So I'm gonna have to start traveling some more and checking some places out, like especially out west. I've had the chance to go to Arizona, where I trail ran. So now I definitely have to go back and like check some of these.
It's funny how that happens, because I wasn't really outdoorsy either until I started trail running, and now I'll spend the summer and camp, like car camp, like I pull over to like a rest stop, car camp, or pull into this BLM land, shower in a stream. Like it's amazing how quickly that switch happened from like I'm staying in a hotel and I'm traveling on an airplane, and now it's like, well, I'll take my Jeep and drive 4 hours and pull over at this BLM land. I'll wake up in the morning, run this trail, come back down. Like And that's my favorite part of the year, I think, is just that I spend July usually just kind of traveling around the West in my Jeep, and I just absolutely love it. No schedule, no,
I love
yeah.
that.
Stop where I want to stop. And
It's amazing how comfortable you get sleeping in like the back when you start traveling and trail running and ultra running.
It's like, this is great. Like, why did I ever do anything else? Got the setup down now. It's perfect, you know. Only thing I'm missing is I need a little like coffee bar at the edge of my Jeep. You know, you open the Jeep back door up, and then your little fold down coffee bar. And
I love that.
But other than that, I'm set.
Yeah, that's my goal this year is to get my like travel coffees. Like I just boil like some instant coffee. So my goal for this year is to be able to it's been like on my checklist of like hiking and like camping and like trail running gear is my new coffee setup. So I'm working on that too. That's legit. Yeah, if I get something together, I'll throw you some links. But okay, this is what I get. The French press won't break. So maybe I'll find something.
I'll have to share my finds with you too. We're putting putting them together.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you ever come out this. We have 100 Miler in Indiana, but it's an amazing trail, by the way. It's a really, it's like probably one of the best supported races I've ever been to. Also, and like their aid stations are like each aid station is like its own party, and it's just like the coolest vibe ever. So whenever you're ready, the IT 100 is where it's at.
Nice.
Yeah, trail running.
Add it to my list.
So I have some questions. And you're setting new limits. You're setting new goals. Like what inspires you to keep pursuing these distances, your limits in the sport?
I enjoy seeing what I'm able to do. When I started running, I thought like the 5K was going to be my limit. I thought the half marathon was going to be my limit. I thought there's no way I'll be able to run 5 days a week or 6 days a week or 7 days a week or do like a run commute or and each time I break one of those things that I thought I couldn't do, it makes me wonder like what else is possible. So this isn't for me, it's not about breaking these records. It's about seeing what I am personally capable of doing. And I continue to break what I thought was my limit. I mean, that 65 hour that got me the silver ticket into Bigs, I thought I could go further. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure at the time how much further. So going into Bigs, I had set like these little things. Can I break that 65 this time? Okay, so I got to 65. Can I go for that 75? Now, how much, like I already broke the two things that I was hoping to go for. Am I capable of doing more than that? So it's all about these little limits that I put on myself that aren't really there, that I continue to push past and surprise myself, honestly. And I put in the work to get there, but it continues to drive me to want to see like what is that breaking point, and what can I not do.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of cool when you find a place that you think is like, this is my absolute limit, and then you actually get to go just like a little bit further than that. And that's kind of where that's like where the magic kind of happens for me anyways. It's like kind of when you hit that spot where they're kind of like teetering the edge of what you know you can do. Like you find the absolute. I love finding the absolute limit and like knowing that I've got something, and then kind of like resetting that bar a little bit higher each time. That's my favorite. That's my favorite going to, because you learn something about yourself, something you didn't know. Peeling an onion, right? It's just like a little bit more, a little bit more. Wow, I didn't know that about you. So that's so cool. Like that's just so rad. That's what drives you. And it's something that keeps me going. I can't wait to see how far I can take this too myself.
And it's even those
So
little
with
failures we encounter, you know, there's those tiny little failures. Like if we DNF a race, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like what did we learn from that? And I'll reflect on those. And there's always little things that I can improve upon there. So it's the challenge
Sam,
of it all.
I learned a big lesson from my DNF back some like serious, like really good lessons in this DNF.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing. It's like learning from my failures, learning from like your triumph. Yeah. Me too. My failures even in my then like my wins or like my victories, I guess. Sometimes it seems like it's almost like I get like a little spite is in me because of those little failures, and that's kind of what pushes me even more.
I agree. I DNF my first mountain race, and I was like, "There's no way this is going to be my last attempt at a mountain 100. Like, I am going to figure this out."
I love that. Thing I'm really curious about, because you have a lot of time running, a lot of loops, yards. You're out there alone on the yards for the most part. Mountain races, you're certainly alone. You know, you said you're like learning a new limit each time. So something that you probably absolutely, and I'm really curious what those are.
So the one thing that I think on these loop courses, and these timed events that really kind of has resonated with me is when you're out there and you're pushing at these timed events, or you're pushing at like something like bigs, looped courses, and you're there is no set like finish line. It's like a timed finish line. You're pushing your mileage, and you get to a certain mileage, and it's you're only going to be like you're putting in all this effort to do this. And I'm hoping this is making sense, but I'm getting there. You're putting in all this effort to achieve this goal, and you're here now. So why would you quit when you've already made it thus far? At 6 days, I was like, okay, I hit 500. I'm done. I'm good to go. And a buddy of mine said, you put in, I forgot how many hours it was. Why would you stop now when you have this amount of time left? And how many times are you going to get to 500? And I was like, yeah, this might be the only time I get to 500. I have this much time left. Like, let's go for it. So a lot of times it's being, this is the opportunity that I'm given now. So I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity. So when I'm running in the mountains, even if it's not a loop course, I'm usually filled with gratitude for just being able to be out there. It doesn't matter how I'm doing that day, where my place is, or how I'm feeling, honestly, because I'm able to get out there. So that's kind of, it's not really a mantra as much as it is a mindset, I think.
Yeah, I love that. I certainly get that. Yeah, it's kind of what you said, mantra, but it's like, well, I didn't make it this far to quit now, sort of mentality sometimes. And like you said, like you may not have the chance to day either. It may not ever come again. You never know how you're going to feel the next time you line up, right? So yeah, certainly that's a great That's a great mindset. Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that too. It's like something I was wondering. It's just like, wow, like, like bigs or like 6 days, like all these mountain races that you done. Like, I wonder what she's thinking this, like, especially for bigs. I'm like, I wonder what was going through her head for, that many loops. Cause I think that's just so rad. And, I'm really inspired by like what you've done, so yeah, I'm in awe a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing
Thank you.
that. And I can't wait
Yeah.
to see, what you got going next and where your limits go next. I'm really fired up.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's been so fun having you on. I don't want to take up too much of your evening tonight, and I really, really appreciate you being on the show. But real quick, I have to ask, because it looks like you have some pretty good music choices on an Instagram post. So, what are you listening to these days?
Oh gosh. So, you know how Apple Music has compiled all of your most played 2024 songs?
Yeah.
So I have my most played 2024 songs. But Avicii has actually been one of my favorites this past
Oh,
year. And I love me some Bon Jovi too. I've
yeah.
said that on multiple podcasts before. But I figured I would throw a new one in the mix. But
Oh, cool. Yeah, we have a music podcast, so I have to ask music questions. We'll have I say this a lot. We'll have to have you on sometime. Yeah, I was like looking at the Instagram post, like, and she's got good taste in music too. This is so cool. So
nice. Now here's the thing. A fair warning to you. Though I appreciate your love the taste of music, but I have a difficult time remembering what album goes with what song and goes with what artist without referring back. Like I can sing you
Oh,
the
yeah.
tune, but can't tell you where it came from.
I think that, I mean, I'm like kind of like a music, I don't know, like a music nerd, I guess. And even now I have that because I think we don't live in like an album world anymore, because it's like, like I'm like guilty about making playlists for every occasion of my life. So yeah, unless it's like 90s era music, then music, I couldn't tell you what album that came off of anymore. But well, all right, Megan, thank you so much for being on. How about to have you up back on again? It looks like you got some exciting stuff coming up. Following on Instagram, everybody should give Megan a follow on Instagram. It's really inspiring. And check Megan out. It's at Megan Instagram. Great. Cool to follow along to. And thank you so much with all of us. And thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed our conversation. It was fun.